Okay guys, so I'm going to show you the T-drill project here. So this is the paperwork here. So first things first, name, your pin. Okay, so generally we would use the T-drill. The T-drill is currently out of order, so we have got the T extractor over here. So this is from Rothenberger. It's a neat little device. It's significantly cheaper than the T-drill, but we will still be using the dimpler and notcher from T-drill because this just does a much better job for the dimpling and notching. Okay, so we'll need a drill, quarter drill here. We will need a ball peen hammer, a regular hammer. Don't need a screwdriver. A copper cutter, a pair of pliers, a reamer beveler, round file, a swedging tool, a large turbo torch tip, small turbo torch tip, striker, and I believe I've covered everything as far as tools are concerned. We will need roughly around 12 inches of solder, lead-free, a brazing rod, and we will need 6 inches of type L, 6 inches of type M, a foot of 3/4 type M or 1 inch type M, whichever we have available in the shop, and 24 inches of type L. And we will also need, of course, the bender. I'll take a look over here and grab the original bender. Perfect. So we're just going to throw that down at the bottom there because our table's getting a little bit crowded here. So the first thing that I would do is take your 6-inch piece of 1/2 inch L and ream the inside. Okay. You're going to want to get rid of that burr on the inside. Okay. As always. Carefully without cutting yourself. Make sure you've gotten rid of that burr on the inside. Okay, good to go. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the swedging tool here, and you are going to take your block of wood. And it's easier to do this on the floor, believe it or not. I'm going to take this block of wood and the swedging tool here and our ball peen hammer. Okay. Adjust that a little bit, and we're gonna give this a couple of whacks. And only whack it a couple of times, take it out and wiggle it. Now this can be rather time consuming. Be patient. If you don't stop and wiggle it out every now and then, what'll happen is it'll start to go crooked. Now, for the sake of this video not carrying on that long, what I've done is I already finished a piece here. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to want to drive this swedging tool all the way in till it bottoms out like that. Okay, and that's basically your end result is going to look like that. All right, so get this paperwork out of here, and we are done with those two, so we shall put those two over there. Okay, done with that guy. So that is done. Put our swedging tool away. now next, what we want to do is the end here, we've kind of mangled it a little bit or made it less than perfect. So what we will do, we're just going to cut off a little bit here with our copper cutters. Okay, and we're going to want to really bevel the inside of that. Really bevel the outside. Okay, that's done. Same thing. So now this piece of 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch type M, essentially is going to go into there. Okay, so with that, we're going to want to bevel the outside. And of course, clean up the inside so we have no reduction of flow. Beautiful. And we're just going to test that guy. She goes in there. Okay, so now we'll take our fallen grit cloth here. We will clean that up. Clean up the inside of this. Use the pencil. And you got the grit cloth in there. Get that all nice and cleaned up. Very good. Okay. So now I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. We're not going to paste this just yet. What we're going to do, so we're just going to get this guy in there. Give him some taps. Make sure he's in there nice and straight. Go. As you can see, it's bottomed out all the way in there. Okay, so what we will do, fix up this end here again. Now we're going to go over to our notcher and dimpler. So we'll take this guy and spin him to 1/2 inch, and with the writing facing up, I'm going to bring this lever down and it will notch it and dimple it at the same time. That's what it's going to look like. You're going to have 2 dimples here, and it's going to be notched. Okay? It's important to ream and bevel it. So this one here I've not reamed or beveled. You're going to see the difference now. They're a little bit more shallow. So when you get it in there, you've got more sort of pipe or meat beyond the dimple there. So it's important to do that. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll cut that off and we'll do that one properly. Just to show you guys what happens. Okay, so we have our one outlet done there. Give it a little bit of a clean on the outside here. Perfect. That guy's done. This guy over here is going to get a bend, or basically a bent offset. So the way I like to do that is I take our bender, throw it in the pipe vise here. Perfect. Okay, line that up nice and straight. So what we will do here, just because we're putting a bend in it, it doesn't have to be, we're not doing a precise measurement here, we're just putting a bend in it so we get used to bending pipe. So I'm going to take this 0 mark here to the 45 degree, bend it slowly. And just so that when we let go of it, it rests on 45 there nicely. Perfect. Okay, so now we bent it this way with the writing facing us. So now we will bend it with the writing facing away on a 45. We can look down at it, line it all up that way. Of course, we're coming over here and we're bending it 45 degrees again. Double checking everything to make sure it lines up nicely. And that's where that stops, just like that. We have got our 45 bend. It's not too bad. So what we will do is now we're going to want this to go in like this. Okay, so we will bring the outside, flip it around, bevel the inside nicely. Now, this part's a little bit tricky. I'm going to go off to the side a little bit here. And we'll put this guy in there. I want to get him really reamed out in the middle. Ream it out really good. So that way, okay, now that it is reamed really well, writing facing up, they're nice and good. And now, flip it over. Okay, perfect. So now, we'll give that a little cleaning. Now our two outlet pieces are done. We have our 45 degree bent offset piece, okay? And we have got our swedged coupling piece. Again, we don't put any paste in here just yet. I'm going to show you a trick as to how to get that paste in there. So we can get rid of the dimpler and notcher. I'll just put it there for now. Get rid of the bender. Got our piece of 3/4 type M or 1-inch. Particularly right now we're using 3/4. So what we will do is, after we've cleaned the inside of the pipe, they're on both ends, we're going to place it in the vise. I like a little trick here. I like to put the writing upwards. Okay. Line that up nicely in the vise. Okay, so now we're going to do the outlets, or drill the outlets. So a little trick here. So I like to take this plumb bob here and use it as a punch. So come over here and try and line it up with the writing. Now where you put your outlets is up to you. I like to leave a little bit of distance from the edges, but don't put them too close to the middle. So we will put one there. Perfect, right in the middle. And we'll put the other one over here. And that's just going to stop the drill bit from walking when we go to drill it. Okay, so now we're going to take the drill bit here. So as you can see here, this gets calibrated. So the way it works is, depending on the size of hole you're drilling or the size of outlet you're going to have, you adjust it. And basically it's like an adjustable step-up bit. Okay, so the more of this bit that gets exposed, it's for the larger pipe diameter. So that is for all the way up to 1 5/8, which is really 1 1/2. So the one thing that I want to point out with this thing is that it goes off of outside pipe diameter. Okay, so we have got 1/2 inch pipe here. Okay, but that's 1/2 inch ID, 5/8 OD. Okay, so I'll repeat that again. Inside pipe diameter is 1/2 inch. We call it 1/2 inch pipe. Okay, but the outside diameter of this pipe is actually 5/8. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this drill here, this drill bit, and we're going to adjust it to 5/8. Okay, you guys can see that there. Or if you're working in metric, 14, 15, or 16 millimeters. So I'm going to take this, put it in a regular cordless drill. So put it in the chuck there, making sure it's lining up nicely in the chuck. Snug that down nice and tight. Set it to drill mode and on the first gear, because we're not going to want to drill that quickly. So again, set to 5/8. So we're going to come over here, making sure our drill isn't forward. We're lined up with that dimple we created. And that's how it drills, and basically it's just going to stop. This is a stopper that lets you only drill so far. Okay, so now we're going to head over here to the other one. Okay, so that's done. Take that out of the drill. Put that back in the case. Then we will grab the extraction tool here. Again, 5/8 outside diameter. Put the adapter into their little handy ratchet. Then we're going to screw this guy so that we're exposing the extractor as much as possible. We'll come over here, piece of pipe, and we're just going to slip that guy in there like that. Just wiggle him in there gently. Bring this big nut all the way down. You'll notice it's got two little grooves there, and that's what we want to rest on the pipe. Okay, so now I have it attached. It's locked in there nice and good. We're going to go counterclockwise here. And what you're going to find is it's going to move around on you a little bit. Just try and hold it steady, and it'll find its own groove here. Just slowly extract the tea. Don't force it, because it is a delicate tool. And don't drop it either. And there we go. We've just extracted the tea there. And that's how that works. But this table is wobbling quite a bit. So we're just going to fix that. Oh. There we go, no more table wobble. So it's not completely perfect. So what I do is I take the plumb bob again, give it a couple of taps there, and away we go. So we can move on to the next one. Move it down the vise a little bit here. Okay, so the next one, put this guy up. Slip it in there. Perfect. Bring down the nut. Get it all lined up. Perfect. Nice and slowly. Don't force anything. Hold on to it a little bit. You'll feel it catching and slipping. It does that. Nice and slowly. That one actually turned out pretty good. Perfect. Okay, so we can go ahead and throw this back in the box because These parts right here can be rather delicate, so what I like to do is I'll spin it back in so it just protects it. And throw that back in the box. And get rid of the ratchet here. Okay, so next what we're going to want to do is gently just clean the inside. Without cutting ourselves, be very careful doing this. Take some of those shavings out of there. Okay, so now we'll take our first outlet piece, throw him in there like that. Give him a little squeeze with the pliers. Helps to just hold him in place. It stops him from wobbling around that much. There we go. Take our other outlet here. And what you're going to want to do is when you're putting these in, the dimples, okay, are in direction of flow. Because what we've done is we've notched this here. So when it goes in, it's not creating a restriction of flow. That's why it gets notched. Otherwise, we'd basically have a restriction of flow there, create turbulence, wear out the pipe, and obviously cause flow issues. So it's going to stop on the first dimple. The second dimple is just a reference after it's brazed to make sure that if it ever needs to be inspected, that you are in the correct direction of flow. You've not placed it in sideways like that. Okay, so dimples with direction of flow. Again, give this guy a little crimp so he doesn't move around on us when we're brazing. Let's get another squeeze. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to be brazing here, so we're going to be using our brazing rod. Now when we braze, we don't use paste, so no paste. Okay, just clean the inside of your fitting or your outlet here and clean the outside of the pipe, just like soldering. Brazing rod, and we'll need a large torch tip, turbo, and a striker. I'm going to move the rest of the stuff out of the way a little bit and go turn on the torch. So, as always, our torch is off, so we're going to turn that on. Close our hose there. And we got just over a quarter tank, which will be good enough. Unravel the hose. Connect our torch tip. Now what we're going to want to do before I get started here, we're going to want to heat up this till it's cherry red hot, glowing red hot, okay? And then we're just going to add the Silfoss here, or brazing rod. And then what we're going to try and do is we're going to do a little cap on it, okay? Now, when it's cooling, it should kind of give it a little caramel or leopard print texture to it, and that's how you know that you've got it hot enough, okay? There you guys can see, it kind of looks like leopard print, caramel. Okay, very hot, very strong raised joints. Okay, and it's capped off a little bit around the edges there, kind of like a cold shoulder. All right, so do the next one over here. That's that for that. So what I'm going to do now, very carefully, go and give this a cooling off in the sink. Of course, making sure I don't bump into anybody by keeping my hand out in front here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to smash the ends here. Okay, very easy. So give this another quick cleaning before we do that. here. Give that a quick, just to get all that carbon out of there. So now we'll flatten the ends here. Then we'll close off those little pieces there with the a pair of pliers. So come over to the other side here. Close those little gaps there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to braze the ends here. That actually isn't looking too bad. Nice and straight. So what we'll do is, using the T outlet there, I'm going to hold this up nice and straight like that. Give that a quick braze on the end there. Again, very carefully taking this out. Now, for you guys can just wait a little bit to let it cool off, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to walk back and forth to the sink here very carefully, not bumping into anybody. Okay, braze the other end. So right now we have finished all of our brazing. If you want to braze some more parts, I leave that up to you. But ideally now, all we have to do is solder the rest of this project, okay? So what I'm going to do here to make life a little easier, instead of soldering vertically, I'm going to put it on the horizontal here. So I'm putting it in the chain vise, like that. Okay, so again, falling grit cloth. Okay, so a little bit of paste here. Put the cap on the offset. Perfect. Put the FIP on the swedged piece. Of course, we got a little burr there. So I know what's happened. What I'm gonna do, cut off a little bit here, because when we were hitting it in with the hammer, we've damaged the end there. Perfect. Wipe off our excess paste here so we can have nice clean solder joints. Switch to the smaller torch tip. Yep. So now the next trick I'm going to show you here, if you remember, there's no paste in there. Reason being is when we were brazing, it would melt the paste off. So what I'm going to do here, I'll show you guys a little trick. You're going to take your solder. So if you ever burn off the paste or you forget to paste something and it's all together, there's a little trick here. It might get you out of a jam. Move the pliers out of the way. Put that down for a second. So that's a little trick there. I mean, obviously it doesn't come out as neat if you originally did paste it, but it's something we can you know, use out in the field if we ever get into a situation where, you know, we cook off the paste, we forget to paste something. So we use the capillary action to pull the paste into the socket, much like we use the capillary action to pull the solder in. Okay. So while we're waiting for that to cool off, we'll close this guy up. Put a little bit of T-tape on our hose bib here. That's not hot. Nope. We're going to put our hose bib on here. Good. Open up our hose bib. Connect it to our testing washing machine hose here. Hey, look at that. No leaks. Practice what you preach, right? And a little bit crooked, but not too bad. Braze joints, pretty good. Brazing it's a lot harder to make it look neat, but it can be done. So there you go. T-drill project complete. Just to prove to you guys that the hose was even on. Was full of pressure. So there's your finished project.